Massive spoiler alert. In this video I'll be talking about primarily the ending of No More Heroes 2, so look away if you don't want this game spoiled for you. Game Talk.
No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle have become pretty beloved cult classics over the years. And why shouldn't they be? They're action-packed, they're funny, they've got great battle mechanics that feel great, and good enough boss battles to put them to their fullest potential. They're both just awesome, and I would recommend buying both of them and having a crazy fun time. One thing I don't think they're given enough credit for, however, is how the game is designed so that the player, and Travis Touchdown, the protagonist of the game for anyone who hasn't played it yet, feel completely in tune with one another until the very end of Desperate Struggle. Something which many games desperately struggle with. Huh? Anyone? And it's in the very end of No More Heroes 2 that its excellence really starts to shine, and is why I think it is at the very least more clever than No More Heroes 1. Or even more brilliant. Huh? Because the name of this video is The Brilliance of... Ooh, you're a tough crowd. Let's talk about theming. In No More Heroes 1, it was very simple. You're a 27-year-old American otaku assassin killing dudes to get laid. There was blood, gore, and a heck of a lot of violent deaths, but the whole thing was very light-hearted and silly, which in a way acts as a reflection on the casualization of killing in video games. You just ended another man's life. He'll never speak another word to his wife and kids again, but yeah, 50 points. But in the end of the day, you as the player kill because it's fun. And it is fun. There are flashy combos, specials, some bitchin' music, and it's all just a good time. And you know who else is having a good time? Travis Touchdown. He doesn't just participate in all the disgusting and brutal murders, he relishes in them, spewing out snappy one-liners and ridiculous finishing moves. Travis and the player are on the same level because they're both just in it for a good time. I'm not going to act like this was hard to accomplish. Having a protagonist that's just in it for a good time makes it easier for it and the player to be connected, because all the designers need to do is make the game fun and the two entities feel connected. This technique is also used well in games such as Devil May Cry and Wario Land 2. No More Heroes 2, however, has a far more complicated, sophisticated, and more emotionally involved plot, and its gameplay has to step up to show it. But how its gameplay changes contradicts what happens in the story, and in doing so, shows us far more about the inside of Travis Touchdown's psyche and his true feelings on the matters of the murders, of his unnecessary killing, and of the challenge set before him. Perhaps I'm bigging this up a little too much, as the first half of the game acts pretty much the same as No More Heroes 1, but with a different premise. Instead of killing mercilessly to get some from Sylvia, you're killing to avenge the death of your best friend. This is important because it shows that Travis will try to use anything as an excuse to go back to the mindless killing, and that he is eager to return to the battles that he so obviously relishes in, but I'll pick up this point later, so now let's just move on. The biggest change in tone from No More Heroes 1 to 2 is that in 2, Travis has a conscience. He ain't just killing people and having parties in their blood, he's feeling remorse and shit. This concept first rears its head during the Alice Twilight battle. She seems to be a more experienced Travis Touchdown, and her attitudes to murder, which for Travis have subtly changed throughout the course of the game, reflect this the most. She has grown tired, weary even of murder, and is almost prepared to die. After Travis kills her, he arrives on her emotional level, or in other words, realizes the true meaninglessness and brutality of his murders. He lashes out at Sylvia about the pointlessness of the UAA, and it would seem that he had developed as a completely changed character. But what if I was to tell you that in this cutscene Travis was merely acting, pretending if you will, to be a changed man when really he is exactly the same underneath? Because that is honestly what I believe to be the case in this scene. Pretending to whom, you ask? Well, to Sylvia, obviously, but also to himself. The scene of the game presents the scene as Travis, after killing the only person on roughly the same wavelength as him, kills Alice and arrives on her wavelength, and decides to finish his journey by killing Jasper Bat Jr. to stop the cycle of violence and be free of all the killing and bloodshed. But what I think really happened was more like this. Travis, after killing someone who seemed to be on a higher plane of thought to him, assumed that killing her would be painful to him and tried to repress the feelings of happiness after the fight when he enjoyed the fight more than he thought he should have. He then decided to, instead of leaving the UAA and wanting to no longer be a part of it like someone who didn't want to kill anymore logically should do, kill Jasper Bat Jr. to enjoy the satisfaction of one more fight. This may seem like a totally ungrounded argument, but then answer me this. Was the fight with Alice fun? Yes, of course it was fun. Her weapon gave great opportunity for fast-paced, close combat action, the theme music was really great, and the whole fight was full of atmosphere and was incredibly memorable. So if the boss fight was that fun, and we are Travis and Travis is us, then logically that means that Travis also finds the fight against her to be enjoyable and satisfying, which would completely screw up the legitimacy of his breakdown. So if any fight that the players find satisfying would make them believe that Travis still enjoys murder, and also generally make players pine for a No More Heroes 3 immediately after, Then Suda51 was left with two options. Make the finale of the game as crazy and as enjoyable as, say, the Henry fight from No More Heroes 1, which, when Travis decides this murdering malarkey isn't for him, would create a disconnect from the player and Travis, and would ruin the impressively clever narrative of both games. Or they can make the fight purposely unsatisfying so that when Travis throws in the towel, the narrative completes just as effectively as it started. I think you can probably guess where I'm going with it. The Jasper Bat Jr. battle is bad. Indefensibly bad. It's annoying, frustrating, his one-hit KO move is total bullshit, and it's just so unepic. Yeah, that's a word. So while I can't even pretend that I enjoyed the battle with Jasper, I will argue that in its sucking, the game's story arc was finished off extremely effectively. Travis Touchdown is far too complex a character to be fully displayed in a few cutscenes. He wouldn't admit his feelings to anyone. He wouldn't even admit them to himself. So in order to tackle this problem, Suda51 designed the Alice and Jasper battles to truly reflect that he had changed. One was to show that he still enjoyed the thrill of battling, where a human being would not, which by all accounts is not what a gamer is when in control in a world with no consequences and morality, and the other was to show that even after getting all that he aimed to achieve, he gained no more happiness as he had finally grown weary of fighting. The cleverest parallel achieved through this is through the questions of whether or not to continue during the Jasper Bat Jr. boss fight that the gamer and Travis asked themselves. Travis to continue with his current violent lifestyle, and the player to continue playing the game. Because would you have wanted to keep playing after finishing this boss battle? Because I didn't. I wanted to go play the Animal Crossing or something. The ideas brought forward by Alice's death had a delayed effect on Travis, and it was only until finishing what he set out to do that it all made sense to him. The way Suda51 accomplished the feat of keeping Travis and the player fully connected wasn't perhaps the most elegant way. Purposely designing part of a game badly doesn't go down well with any critics, but it may have just been the only way that it could have been done, and personally I think I would have preferred this way to the other option, which would render both games pointless. But the big question still remains, is No More Heroes 2 better than the original No More Heroes? Even with all the clever design going on behind the scenes, I'd still have to say the original was the better game, because for what they are both trying to do, No More Heroes 1 does a better job of it. Throughout Desperate Struggle, the game has a bit of an identity crisis, and it's not until the end of the game that everything starts working cohesively. No More Heroes, on the other hand, knows what it is, a fun, funny, gory, and over-the-top romp with top presentation and solid gameplay. There's another thing Desperate Struggle doesn't do so well with, the gameplay. The Shinobu sections, for example, are just plain terrible, and I don't like how much the overworld was stripped down. But for managing to keep me feeling totally connected to the protagonist and then managing to use that connection to further develop the narrative, I'd say that No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle is well worth picking up, and definitely deserves the title of being pretty bloody brilliant. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to like, favourite and subscribe. Also, could you please let me know what you think of this new style of video in the comments? Or basically just if you think it's too similar to Josh's Really Freaking Clever series. This is my 6th video on my channel, so I finally have enough videos to fill up the whole screen with links without having to put imaginary links to videos I haven't made yet. So links appear. That is gonna look so cool when I've finished it. My next video will be the second part of Top 30 NES Games. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video. Cheerio!